Attorney Bederow has a number of items as well.
Mr. Bederow.
Thank you, Judge.
Honestly, go fuck yourself, sir. You don't say that, okay? You don't lose a trial where a jury acquits someone and finds them overwhelmingly not guilty and say, I gave my sincere obligation to look into this, and I'm telling you all I saw when she's guilty. Again, respectfully, go fuck yourself.
Swear again like that. That was, no, I mean, whatever. That was, I shouldn't have done that.
A few moments later.
You, as a prosecutor, have got to be out of your fucking mind.
Nose.
Dude, Jimmy, look at those ears.
The ears don't bother me as much.
No, I don't trust a man. I don't trust a man with a lobe like that. No,
really,
not a fucking chance.
The mouth is butthole to me.
Very thin, paper thin.
The nose.
Oh, the nose.
The brows.
Well, listen, I will tell you though, I kind of like a fucked up nose on a guy.
Like a big old honker. I like a big nose.
Old nose. Give me that big bitch. You know,
yeah.
Like, I'm into it.
Come over here, cluck cluck.
Yeah.
I see some chickens that went moving on up in my biz, cluck cluck. Running, you gotta be with the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids, kids.
And I go, oop, clutch, clench, kegel. We did it all. And I go, oh, and what happened? And they go, well, we just got 4,000 plus pages, bitch. And I said, stop it. Show me it. Take me to Unimpound Town immediately, if not sooner. So what happens?
The bitch is here.
Why are you at a football game? Are you a Fonz correspondent?
Well, no, because it's only for men over 30. Okay? Have a great night, boys. Fuck off.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Hey, Blues Clues, motherfucker.
Good morning, lovies. We are gathered here today on December 21st, 2025, with a Red Bull. Let's go. Some lip gloss and a dream. And I had a dream of who, you ask? Mr. Bederow. What is he doing? What kind of input can he give us in the legal mumbo jumbo that is our Commonwealth of Massachusetts? Is he here to save us? Only say the word and we shall be healed. On your mark, get set. Our emotional support attorney, the man, the myth, the legend. I'm trying to fight him on a hoodie today. You be the judge. Attorney Mark Bederow. Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Looks, I don't know. Looks kind of just red and black. It's nice. I don't know what it is. But
well, it's soft. It's soft. It's soccer. You wore an Arsenal one, so I'm a Sunderland girl now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm the team. I am the people. I am, I come from the working class and we fight till the end. This is my thing. Okay. Don't make it weird.
Okay.
So I like your Patriots one though, as always.
Well, yeah, this is standard 47 Patriots hoodie available at all pro shops in New England, right?
At all pro shops.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of, just because now we start our little train off on this. So last week, Heartbreak Hotel, huh? Holy shit.
Yeah, that was a bad loss. If that's what you're talking about.
I am.
It's a young team, probably ahead of their skis in terms of their record and what they really are. Clinching game after a bye week, biggest game of the year at home. They got up 21-0, feeling good, getting a little, but then they lost all control and discipline. So it's a bad loss. Hopefully it doesn't cost them anything. It may very well cost them the number one seed in the AFC. It could potentially cost them the division, although with the Jets and Dolphins on the schedule, that would be profoundly disappointing. I mean, tonight's an interesting game. Baltimore is 7-7. They're probably better than their record, but they're not a great defense like they used to be in the past, and they're playing for their lives. They're at home. It's Sunday night. It's the marquee game of the week, as they say. So this is a big one for the Patriots. We'll see.
Okay, so I know that you don't bet, but if I were to bet, if you were to give your friend your your favorite little asshole of a nurse, what would you say? Would you say put the money on it, bet the house, or no?
Yeah, I'd pick them tonight. I think the spread is like 3.5. Baltimore minus 3.5, which I think also tells you that Vegas does not think the Patriots are 11-3 or as good as they appear due to their schedule, which has been soft. But that's what happens when you're 4-13 2 years in a row. You play the lesser teams. I mean, that's how NFL schedules are made. The first place team in the division will play the first place, and that sort of thing. So they're not getting much respect from the betting gurus. So I think they'll win tonight. So yeah, I mean, giving them 3.5 points, they're, for whatever reason, a much better road team than home team. The Patriots are actually undefeated on the road and have lost 3 games at home, which is, kind of the opposite as to what you would expect. So we'll see.
All right. Well, I'm all in. I'll throw a couple of dollars at the boys. Will I do a long bet? I don't think so. I'm not going to pick a player, but I think that I feel like sometimes it's destined, and I think Vrabel and May, this feels like it's not that electricity like certain times in professional sports in New England, but there is a momentum, and I think it's undeniable. And I think that if they win tonight, it's possibly the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl is possible. I mean, the AFC particularly is wide open. I mean, Denver right now is considered the number 1 seed. I don't know that I believe in them either. I mean, although they did beat Green Bay last week, that's a nice win. Kind of like the Patriots, who knows? There's no Kansas City Chiefs this year, as everyone knows. That's a big change. But if you go on pedigree, experience, and looming, then, many people would probably still say the Bills are probably, record aside, the best team just based on experience and whatnot and who they are, although they're still the Bills. So we'll see. I mean,
is it weird that I like the Bills fans? Like that I like legit, like I feel like a kindred spirit to them for some reason.
Bills Mafia, as they say. Yeah, no, they're lunatics. They're
psychotic,
blue collar, crazy as it gets. And they're kind of the epitome of football. I mean, cold, shitty weather, just kind of if you've ever spent time in Buffalo, sorry to the people in upstate New York, it's kind of a depressing place. It's always gray. It's kind of like Rust Belt. The food is incredible. Not just the wings at the Anchor Bar and those places. You ever had a beef on weck, what they eat up there?
No.
They've got some really old school Italian there too. Like, people don't think of Buffalo as that, but they've got some real good Italian up there. I took the bar exam in Buffalo years ago. It's an interesting place, but they are, having spent time in upstate New York in law school, going to a couple of Bills games, the crowd there is as blue collar gets. But for football, that's great. So I went to a game there in winter, and it's just the weather sucks. Everything sucks other than their builds. And if the Patriots aren't going to win, I would, at some point, there's probably no fan base, bar none, in any sport across the U.S. and Canada who deserves a championship with the absolute hell that they have been through in the early 90s. I mean, to lose 4 Super Bowls in a row and in descending fashion, right? There was the god-awful, close game with the missed kick, against the Giants. And then it just got progressively worse. Then I think they played the Redskins and they got beat handily. And then they just got absolutely pummeled by Dallas twice. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And so I think everyone would love if your team can't win. And it's different than the Cubs, like how people kind of felt about the Cubs in baseball. they were the lovable losers, but they kind of just embrace their loserness. The Bills people, they lived it, they died it, they wore it. So I don't want them to win because I want the Patriots to win. But if that's not meant to be, I would have no problem with the Bills winning, and those meatheads would burn the city down if they win. What's left of it anyway.
You know what I was thinking though too is like I almost, now listen, I have never bought into the Chiefs, like although they had a dynasty, I have to say it was incredible, those 3 and 4, right? It was like
they won 3, I think, in 5, and that's like
it
one
is.
half of the Patriot dynasty.
Well, of course, but like seeing it fall, kind of how it has. It's such human nature, right? You love to see somebody on a meteoric rise and the support, and then like once you're at the top, you're hated, and then people are preying upon your downfall. And and do you push it too far? Like, did what's his face, Travis Kelsey, did he need to come back this year? Probably not, but he still did.
I mean, I think, people like to see the Chiefs lose because they were, the current flavor, if you will.
Yep.
But also, I think hardcore NFL fans were just repulsed by the constant Taylor Swift stuff. It is what it is. I mean, every Chiefs game, how many shots of her and Mahomes' wife in the press box do you need? I mean, I don't care, whatever. And of course, in my family, my daughter thinks that's the most incredible thing.
Yeah.
I mean, she even had one of these ridiculous T-shirts, "Go Taylor's boyfriend" kind of thing, and that's a whole nother story in our house. But I think a lot of just like red-blooded football fans love seeing the Chiefs and the end of this whole Kelsey, Swift, Mahomes stuff. We'll see. I mean, what's interesting is, a lot of people wanted to compare Mahomes to Brady and this and that. And, Mahomes should essentially be in his prime, athletically speaking. And for them to be eliminated from even making the playoffs in a real not great AFC 4 weeks before the season ended, that is a blemish. No matter what he does going forward, when talk radio, sports fans, and lunatics have these discussions about where does he slot up in terms of the all-time greats, that's tough. I mean, to literally be eliminated from the playoffs 4 weeks in advance, when you're 30 years old and you're at, and Mahomes is, he's an all-timer. You're kidding yourself if you don't think he is, but that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And the only last thing I'll say is just that it was actually interesting with Brady to see him. I feel that athletically he looked better in the second half of his career than he did in the first, right? But like normally speaking, he is an anomaly. He is an alien. He is Tom Brady. Speaking of which, TMZ did say something. Did you see that yesterday about him?
No.
About Giselle?
No. What?
Okay, I gotta tell you, so I guess she had a baby. She just had a new baby with like new man, new baby. She got married, and he posted the suicide hotline.
Well, that's odd.
You think? He's busy cloning dogs, and now he's posting the suicide hotline. Let's pray for Tommy. Just saying.
Anywho, yeah.
Did you think he looked better in the second half of his career?
He is fascinating. Everybody knows the story. He came up. He only played because Drew Bledsoe was basically murdered on a football field. He finished the season. They won the Super Bowl. It was right after 9/11. They're the Patriots. It was a storybook kind of thing. And in the early Patriot dynasty, he was considered, a game manager, which is kind of an insult, just not a stat guy. And then he just turned into like a video game, by the time they had the almost perfect season and beyond, and had Randy Moss and all that. And he was just insane. And then he became the health and fitness freak of nature, which, he was not in the early part of his
career. Yeah,
career. Not that he was not in shape, but you know what I mean. And
of
then
course.
became ridiculous. And then, he essentially got run out of town, which will, I'm sure that will stick in Robert Kraft's craw for the rest of his life. He made a terrible choice with that. And then he goes to Tampa Bay and wins. And now he's become one of these kind of transcend sports kind of people.
Yeah.
Like he's just kind of a famous person who, also was a Super Bowl quarterback. So, he had the most incredible career. But I mean, look, the guy's got 7 Super Bowl rings. It's insane.
It is insane. He's the GOAT, in my opinion. It's not a conversation. I know other people do have it, but yeah, I love Tommy. Terrific. Hope he's well too, because wild after seeing that. And I know that, they had, him and Giselle had their children, and that they just got divorced a couple of years ago. And I know he went full blown into broadcasting and everything, which he actually, I didn't know how great he was going to be. Like, I knew that he clearly knows all the games, but like I think he's done a great job in that transition as well. He got better, at least, for him, starting out and seeing him to like where he is, where I see when he's broadcasting today. I mean, he really does put in that work. And that is, I think the difference is that when you're hungry for it and you want to be the best, and he never rested on his laurels. He always just continued and like fought the haters, right? He did everything was based upon, I'm going to show you, right? Like he always had a chip on his shoulder, and that was what motivated him.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if you watch any of the old documentaries, he would remind everyone about being the 6th round draft pick and how, I'm the smartest choice you ever made by drafting me, this and that. I mean, and if you go back and you watch some of those things, if you go back and watch the final drive of the first Super Bowl, again, the one right after 9/11 against the Rams. And back then it was still Madden and Summerall, right? The classic, whatever. And, the Patriots, they kind of lost the lead. They had the ball late in the game with about 2 minutes left. They had a very young quarterback. And the football genius Madden was saying, take a knee, play for overtime. And that was not the Belichick Brady way. They went for it. Mm-hmm. And when they started moving the ball downfield and it was becoming clear, my God, they may actually get in. This is insane. They're going to get in field goal range and have a shot to win this. Go back and watch the footage and how prescient John Madden was, not knowing who Tom Brady was going to become, even if they ended up in that game. And he said something along the lines of, I'm getting chills watching what Tom Brady is doing right now. This is insane. And then boom, they win the Super Bowl and there you go.
History. Yeah. Amazing. So this is our last Sunday service before Christmas. Okay. This is our a week of, holly and jolly. And I just wanted to know, or I wanted to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, because then we're going into New Year's, and I'm hoping for a very good 2026 for us all. And I just was wondering, do you guys have any plans this week? What's going on at the Bederow household? You going to Seven Fishes? I know you know a couple of Italians. If you want a place to go.
Yeah, we don't really do the Seven Fishes.
Well, I know.
We kind of do the Hanukkah thing, which is not.
Do you have a tree?
Although it is a little festive. I do have some red and blue. I don't know if you can really see. I've got some red and blue lights and some there. It's a little festive in here. Now we'll have some people over today to finish up Hanukkah, but they're under strict instructions. Everybody's got to be gone because again, we have a game tonight. We can't have, I need to be, in the home theater screen. Boom, the big, it's that kind of game. So, but yeah, no. So we'll have that. And as far as Christmas, I assume what I'll be doing, anyone else will be doing who has kids, and in particular a daughter who's obsessed with Stranger Things.
Oh, Got it.
that's what I'll be doing, right? I mean, that's kind of
Me too.
obvious. So yeah, that's the big plans.
I love that. Do you have a Christmas tree? Did I do you or no?
No, we don't really do that.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying some people I know, I was just thinking
I
some
did
people-
one year.
Oh.
1 year when I lived in Manhattan in an apartment that I shared with someone else at the time, who was Italian, and which is also how I learned about the seven fishes and the Italian Thanksgiving. My God. But we had a tree. I loved it. I mean, that was like the best thing. And it's so weird because, you guys go get Christmas trees. What? You drive out to these crazy places, in Manhattan. They're just like on the side of the street, like on Broadway. There'll be some dude set up with 15 trees that are just sitting on the sidewalk, and you have to schlep it home and get it up an elevator and, all that kind of crap. So they don't tend to be as big as, the trees that you would have in suburbia as it was. But that was the most, I loved decorating a tree. I like the smell of the tree in the house.
Oh, you're a real tree. Yeah, you
Oh,
like
yeah.
a real, yeah.
But then I also learned what that meant a couple days or a week later when it starts to, all the stuff falls off, and getting rid of it is a whole process. And again, in an urban environment, it's much worse than probably you have to deal with. So,
in
but
the
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Also, I do want to remind you that my mother, okay, good old Noni, Jacqueline Teresa, she would we had a fake Christmas tree always. Why? Because pine needles are not for women with OCD that are vacuuming 6 times a day. Also, so we had a white Christmas tree. Okay, you want to talk gin? You want to talk full gin?
Pretty tacky, yeah.
Hitting it with the white? Shut up. That brings me so much joy.
I know.
Like if I see one still, like I'm nostalgic for it. I don't have a white Christmas tree.
The only other time I remember even having any kind of tree was, I think, my first year in the DA's office. And at that time, you would share an office when you were first year. My office mate, who's a close friend to this day, she got like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree to bring in and put in our, I mean, it was like this pathetic twig almost, but that kind of became our, other than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, so we're Stranger Thingsing. I'll call you, and then hopefully, well, anyway, it'll be a great week. I'm hoping for a little R&R as we all deserve. So, what do you need? Coffee? You already need coffee. Did you drink that whole cup?
I did.
Go get it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Go get it. I'll be right here. Okay.
All
right. Love your face. Jeez, he's a coffee drinker. He starts early. He had to do a little piddle earlier before, and now we're gonna go. Sorry, guys. This was the intro. It was an interlude. Okay. Pretend it's 1999, and we're hitting you with that R&B. We're getting you ready. We're priming you up for the CD of your life. Oh, where's that freaking music that I like? You know what I'm saying? Is it this one? No, sure isn't. No, I hate that. EDM. Hit it. Coffee break. Brought to you by Zabars. Not sponsored. It's Christmas Eve. We're just taking a break. We'll be right back. Keep your day job, Ken. And the bass drop. Don't worry. Oh, there he is. Look at, I did that so quick. I love that EDM. That's an incredible, I could do a whole entire song. I think we should write some lyrics. I'll call Jimberly and see if we could do something to that stock music. Okay. And we're up and in. I wanted to ask you. So I was like, all right, I want to go into a couple of different topics clearly, but I need to know as an attorney, as my attorney and my not my actual attorney, but my emotional support attorney, with the sidebars being unimpounded. I went to Unimpound Town last night like you've never seen. I also was lost because you know that I was ill prepared for what had happened. If you press Control and F, it'll take you to sidebar. Okay. Well, you have to write in sidebar, but you can find it in the thing. Who knew that? I don't know. Corey. Okay, Corey Hopkins, the incredible attorney that did request the FOIA or got the orders for all of that. And she is an angel. Will this take me a week to get through? Absolutely. Am I going to comb through every friggin' bit of transcript? Bitch. Yes, I am. Not you. I'm just talking to myself. And so these sidebars are spicy. These sidebars, in my opinion, because we know the players from trial 1 and 2, I can see it when I'm looking at the words and remembering where it was in the trial, Mr. Bederow. It is unbelievable for me to hear. Last night we went over just very briefly Caitlin Albert's testimony, trial 1, and Mr. Yannetti over at the sidebar, and being like, why can't I further ask questions on Katie McLaughlin and Caitlin Albert, and the answers from or how Judge Cannoni was interpreting it, and then like almost spoon feeding her bias towards Adam Lally in that first trial, and asking him those questions, and like really just showing what we all thought we knew in real time from the court reporter. So when you are in sidebar, or do you think we're going to find nuggets that are not only, which we already have, there have been incredible people that have posted amazing things, but these sidebars to me always felt like they would hold something that was like almost, or could be bombshell for the defense, because it wasn't allowed in, and now we have access as the public.
Well, nothing is bombshell in the sense Karen was acquitted, so it's over. I mean, there's no impact in that sense. I've only seen a few of the snippets in, looking at all of the wonderful, healthy people commenting on social media. I came across some of that, even commented on a few of them. And from what I've seen so far, the impression that I get is before any of this happened, or these were made available, there was a large perception of a substantial amount of the public who believed that Karen had to try her case with one hand tied behind her back, in the sense that the judge was either predisposed against them, just didn't like her, didn't like the attorneys. And from what I've seen from the sidebars, there's nothing dramatic in terms of the legality of what was happening in court. But if the people had concerns about their impression of whether they thought the judge was just not inclined to appreciate, respect, and like the defense, I would suggest that needle has moved much farther to the right, and being much worse, just seeing some of the ways about, I mean, again, from what I've seen, are you pointing at me? That's kind of bizarre. Or when a lawyer, I think it was David in this case, said, can you explain legally why you're ruling the way you are, which is a normal thing. Judges make rulings, and generally parties have a right to know why. And she said something along the lines of, it's not my job to explain to you.
Yes.
Actually, it is, but that's neither here nor there. And then the only word that comes to mind is chastising a lawyer for having the temerity to call a member of the court staff that you've been around again and again by her first name, and saying, we don't do that here. That summed up the whole, you're an outsider in my fiefdom, more than anything else that I think you'll see in anything in the case. But as far as, at least from a lawyer's perspective, what's the most interesting thing?
Yeah.
I don't know what's been released or what's not, but I mean, if you gave me the whole list of sidebars and said pick one, I want to know about the inverted video and what the hell was discussed and why the trial continued at all and why they weren't allowed to examine about the preparation that the prosecutor and the witness had and how this came to be. That's the only thing, frankly, that I would want to see, because that was crazy.
110%. I also need to go back. I thought that the Caitlin Albert was great. I'm really want to focus or see when it's Jennifer McCabe for trial 1 too, because this is trial 1 transcript batch. This is the first batch of things that have come out. And when that is there, or if that is there, I remember in trial 1 specifically, there was even more sidebars than in trial 2, and trial 2 still sucked with sidebars, like everything, because of that ruling by Judge Beverly Cannoni, which is not a rule for all of Massachusetts. It's just her that you can't give your speaking objection. So therefore, if she would if she would sustain something, like they would always have to ask for the sidebar to be like, hello, this is why I'm asking you this, because you weren't allowing them to ask it in open court.
It's also, again, people need to understand, at least again, for lawyers not from Massachusetts, that this whole thing is only a thing because they're doing this in a way that I think most lawyers are not used to. So, for example, the fact that so much happened at a sidebar in those trials is odd. There are times at a trial where you can't have the jury hear things. You go to sidebar. So that in the first instance, though, just these basic evidentiary rulings or little things, there was a lot of that. But also, when the case is over and the parties order the transcripts for whatever reason, the idea that there was an affirmative decision to just seal the sidebars is bizarre too. I mean, when I order a transcript in New York, the sidebars are not redacted unless there's a reason. Now, again, if there is a discussion about the conduct of a juror or their name or the security thing, that's common. I mean, it doesn't come up that often, but that's the kind of thing that might be redacted out. But the idea that sidebars after a trial discussing evidentiary rulings and ordinary court stuff would just be presumptively, I'm going to keep that from the public. All that does is draw more attention to what is everybody hiding and gets everybody all hot and bothered to let me see the sidebars and then do what everybody's doing now the last few days, which is what's in there. It's weird to me. I don't know why this is even a thing. It really shouldn't be.
I agree too, but I don't know any better because this is the only time I've ever really cared to look at a transcript of a, trial, because even when you're watching them, you would never need to afterwards. After it's done, it's done. But like we said, there was just so much, I feel, in trial 1 that we weren't, and trial 2 that we weren't aware of.
The whole purpose of a sidebar is to discuss things that you don't want the jury to hear. Which is fine, but that's a different concern than the public. So there are times, where you would get rid of the jury and you could argue things in open court and the public watching need not be excluded. Now, another way to do it is just do everything as sidebar. But having said that, when the trial is over, there's no risk of prejudicing the defense. She's acquitted.
Yeah.
There's no risk of prejudicing the prosecution. It's over. So what is the point of keeping the sidebars, again, and I use New York language, I apologize, under seal, it's what we would say, or impounded or under a protective order in Massachusetts? There's no point. That comment on the screen is completely accurate. I mean, the idea.
This is Corey Hopkins who actually did that. And Corey, you're a queen.
The idea that anyone, never mind an intelligent attorney who knows how, would have to institute legal process to get access to information, which is presumptively open. I mean, trials are presumptively open, and there is no reason to seal. Again, I use the word seal, impound, whatever the hell you want to call it. discussions over why can't I cross-examine this witness about that. I mean, that is quintessentially information that ought to be in the public realm, especially in a case that is a matter of public concern. And if somebody wants to order transcripts and court proceedings with certain exceptions are open to the public. Now, if a defendant prevails, there are, again, in New York, certain things get sealed to the benefit of the defense. But remember, there was a conviction in this case. So, for misdemeanor, DWI, OUI, whatever they call it there. So none of that would even apply. But the idea that anyone would have to literally sue and get opposed with like filings and do
I
this
know,
to get quintessentially public information, which in the grand scheme of things, that the sidebars, whether you don't like what was said or you think the judge was biased, it's all normal trial talk. I mean, this is what happens at trials. Lawyers argue, they disagree, judges rule, judges call you up, you do this, you do that, and then go back and argue and whatever. There's no reason that any of the information that is out there ought not have just been public during the trial, maybe outside the presence of the jury, but certainly if a transcript is ordered, there's no reason to redact out all of that stuff. Again, there is a presumption of openness, and what you often see, at least in certain situations in Massachusetts, is that the presumption is flipped on its head and everything appears to be presumptively not open. And then they're forcing you to push open the door through legal process. And that's not how public trials, which is a First Amendment thing, works.
absolutely. And like you're saying though, like here's the biggest jaw drop with it is that Corey, she files, right? She sues, right, for this, and that the fact that the Commonwealth didn't just say okay, all right, like they filed responses.
And understand something.
What?
When public prosecutors work, including wasting time on this kind of nonsense, you're paying for that. Okay, your tax dollars are being used to pay these people to argue why information that is, again, quintessentially ought to be in the public realm should not be. And that's just insane that you would spend taxpayer money. They have nothing better to do in the Norfolk DA's office than
No, I feel like they do. They surely do.
Fight the release of sidebars where lawyers are bickering over whether this is admissible or inadmissible. There's no reason, there's no basis that information should be concealed.
No, that is absolutely unnecessary and unbelievable, really. So, oh gosh, my YouTube studio, that's doing something weird. Okay, don't do that. Guys, I just want to tell you, please don't send super chats. I didn't turn that off like an idiot. So I love your faces, but we know that we just shoot the shit with Mr. Bederow, and it is no like Q&A because that's not kind of this jam, but I appreciate you. And I apologize in advance for not doing that. So now, okay, big doings. Yesterday, you hit me with this and I go, oh, I see that you do a little tweetsy tweet about Bill Clinton after the Epstein release of these pictures and whatnot. And my jaw, when I tell you, listen, I am on the precipice of like a real excitement here. When I see that we've got transcripts from Reed, I'm getting photo dump from Epstein. Like there is so much. Reiner finding out about the schizo, which we'll talk about that afterwards. There is so much happening. It's such like huge updates in things that I was really excited to have you today. And you hit us with page 323, I believe, of a book where Bill Clinton is saying that he had 2 interactions with Epstein, and after seeing the release of the photos that are disgusting. Absolutely. Like, to me, it's so seedy. It's so shady. I don't give one F what you think. It is grotesque and it is nefarious. Okay. He should probably find himself in a tiny bunker in Area 51 and never come out unless you're in clink, clink handcuffs. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, let's not turn this into a political thing.
No.
Not you. I mean, a lot of the pushback is why are people focused on
Anybody.
Bill Clinton? He's not in office, and
Yeah.
Anybody who either has committed or enabled any kind of serious criminal conduct for which the statute of limitations don't apply, they ought to be held accountable. And it is a deflective tactic to say, well, what about the current office holder? And again, my response to that is if there's evidence against anyone, go. I only go where I'm being led and with what I'm dealing with. And,
of course.
And those are the only people I'm interested in, unless and until there's a reason to be interested in anyone else. Okay. And the facts are these, and these are all public. You don't need me to tell you this. Okay. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump, and I don't care. And if there's evidence against Donald Trump, bring it. That's fine. And we all know that the way these records were released is clumsy. It's not satisfactory. There are reasons to question what else is being held back. That's all fair. But what I'm talking about is, you have a former president who is a known liar. That's not really in dispute, okay?
Yeah.
He's a known many things, all right? And he published a book a year ago after a lot of this Epstein stuff was in the public realm. And in his book, he specifically referenced, the elephant in the room about Epstein, and gave the impression in his own. I mean, look at the book. This is not me talking. This is his book, his words, not mine.
Yeah.
And he had a few minor interactions with Epstein, and look at the information that has been released. That is demonstrably false. Now, I won't get into other reasons why I believe and know that is demonstrably false. So this is not the place to do that. But you have to ask yourself why he's refusing to honor a subpoena to testify about things. Now, remember, look at that page of the book. Not only is he saying I had 2 minor interactions with him, which is false, but he also said, I don't know anything at all about anything that this dead piece of shit pedophile did. Okay. And, that's a big statement to make. And that's the kind of thing that if subjected to sworn testimony, he would have to deal with. Right. And as a matter of consequence. And so the question becomes, why are he and his wife, why are they refusing to appear and honor a subpoena? There's no former president exception. There's no former Secretary of State and U.S. Senator exception.
Right.
They have choices. They honor the subpoena. If they believe that they would incriminate themselves in a crime, they have a right to take the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah.
Wouldn't look so good for them, I suppose, but they have a right to do that. They have a right to tell the truth. Not sure they want to do that for reasons that, people can draw their own conclusions about. And another option, which he has taken before, is to lie under oath. I mean, he's done that. That's not a disputable fact. Bill Clinton has lied under oath in prior proceedings. Okay. So now you might start to understand why this husband and wife are just taking another option, which is arrogance and trying to avoid appearing at all. This is not good for them. But, so the purpose of that yesterday was, it's his book. He'll be examined about that. He's gonna have to explain that. I'm sure his publishers are thrilled. They look real credible today. But you know,
I have a question though, Mr. Bederow. Why, like you're saying, this isn't something that like randomly it came up, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. This was just last year. This was a conscious effort. This was purposeful. And I don't know why. And I'm not saying like I clearly can infer why, but why even put it in? Why would you put it in though? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't you just avoid it like the plague and not don't mention it at all, you dumbass?
has this man ever suffered any real consequences?
No,
for what he's done?
never.
No. So why would he assume perhaps a year or two ago that he would, and then something happened? There appears to be an awakening and a reckoning in dealing with this, what people are calling, this Epstein thing, which again
is not. Epstein
is a spoke in the wheel. Okay. He's not the center of the wheel, people. He's not. He's part of it, but and in any event, he's dead. Okay. And there's just a lot more, if there's any sense of justice, about all this stuff that surrounds the orbit of Jeffrey Epstein. There's a lot of other people who need to be held accountable.
And what's next after this? Like, this has been such a this has lit the internet on fire. Okay. And you look at it. What do we think? What's the feel of it on your side?
Thing people need to recognize is there are many victims of Epstein, others, and each individual who is victimized by these people may have a different view in terms of, do I want to be named or not named, or the kind of trauma and stress that they undergo in dealing with this. And when this thing just gets dumped on the internet, it gets dominated by the news, these pictures of people should think about the consequences that can have on those who were victimized by this. To see it and hear it, you can't turn on the television without hearing about it, and it can be re-victimizing.
Trigger, yeah, absolutely. Your PTSD.
And then, so that's the first part of it. The second part of it is the rollout, if that's even the right word. I don't even like calling it like that, but the way that this information is being disseminated to the public is just clumsy as hell. I mean, the impact that can have on victims as well. And there is a certain segment of the population who believes that the way these records are being released is designed to help cover up for other individuals. And that's not good. Now, if that's true, that's disgraceful. But if a large segment of the population thinks these records are being selectively released and not being done in the way that the law required and not being done transparently, none of that's good for anyone. So this whole process has been extraordinarily messy. Now, the only thing that ought to be redacted out of these records is stuff that would relate to ongoing investigations, victims' names, things that would identify innocent parties. But, people do need to understand some of this is going to be redacted because some of this involves things that are not resolved.
Okay. Like?
Well, I'm not going to.
Okay. No, you said, okay.
Things that are not resolved.
Okay. So they have to. Okay. So they have to.
Let me put it to you this
or
way,
it's ongoing.
For the federal statutes that in theory could be in play for a lot of these people, like 1591 sex trafficking, which is 18 USC 1591, and certain Mann Act crimes, which is essentially tantamount to a federal sex assault crime. They don't have statutes of limitations.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know that. Now, and there was not, okay, now I'm thinking back to Diddy, which is weird, but I was wondering, did they do something of like, it wasn't 20 years. It was no statute, right? Of limitations?
I think he was charged with 1591 sex trafficking, although
Okay.
he did much better in court. I mean, that case, I have nothing to do with that case. I have no opinion of it other than, what I followed generally online, but I didn't do any deep dives into it. It has nothing to do with anything that I deal with.
Yeah.
That case did appear to have a lot of problems and appear to be overcharged. And I'm not a Diddy fan in any stretch, and I could care less that he's currently incarcerated. And everybody saw the video of what he did to his girlfriend, which is not necessarily part of that charge per se, but it was difficult to watch. He's not a good person.
Horrifying.
But he got nowhere near 20 years. He wasn't convicted of anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering for the statute of limitations for whatever reason. I thought like that they had to file it by something because there was, I don't know why. I was clearly incorrect.
Certain charges clearly have statute of limitations, but if you are charged with a commercial sex crime, that there's no statute of limitations.
Maybe it was the crossing of the borders. I don't remember because he had like the state lines.
Well, that's virtually a federal offense. That's how they get federal jurisdiction. Effects in state commerce or from one state to another. Things like that. I mean, that's
absolutely.
Just statutes are generally written to make them what otherwise would be considered traditional state crimes, federal crimes.
You know what I was wondering though, and I know that you said like that this has not, I think he's a terrible person, Diddy. And I think that there was a lot of people, including my guy, 50 Cent, who had hated him for at least 20 years. That documentary that 50 was the producer on, I didn't see all of it, but from that first episode, I said, OMG. Incredible. 10 out of 10. Watch it on Netflix. It was #1 last weekend, guys.
I haven't watched it, and to tell you, to be honest with you,
well, he talks about needing to brainwash like the jury, right? Remember how you're like, get out the kooks and brainwash. This is the first thing he is on the phone with counsel, and he is like, we need to absolutely brainwash these people. And it is, I go, am I an attorney?
But again, that's what lawyers and clients talk about. Privately, and it gets,
of course,
it gets released. I've never seen that before. Look, brainwashing jurors is a way. It's just a term of art. You obviously want to influence jurors to your line of thinking. And if you feel something in jury selection that has a connection that this person seems to be accepting what I'm trying to argue or put out thematically, then you want that. Now, having said that, I haven't seen a minute of it. Believe it or not, what I'm watching right now, and I never watched this in real time. This is crazy.
Tell me.
When this show came out, I never watched Mad Men. I never, for whatever reason, and it's on HBO now. And so I've started watching Mad Men all these years later. And I've watched all the other great intelligence shows. That's my kind of TV. I just never watched Mad Men. And I just got through season 1. So
you're into it. You're all in?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Yeah. John Hamm is just, I always liked him and everything else. And it's stunning that I never watched this show. But so that's what I'm watching.
That's awesome. I did not.
I have no interest in the Diddy stuff. I have to be honest with you. It's like,
yeah. Well, I was just wondering to correlate it though, right? Like this was the only thing as I was thinking, because you have not cryptically said to me and to all of us, like, hey guys, be prepared to never listen, or not like that. It would blow your mind whom in which these tentacles expand to, right? And who this touches. Well, I think of one evil mofo who like seemingly was involved in unbelievable criminal behavior on different levels, and like possibly potentially like involved in the murders of other rappers, including Biggie and Tupac, and like insane shit. But then you also have the sex crimes part of it, and I was wondering, there was never a link with him and what this was, or has this never been exposed?
I have no idea what else
Yeah.
he's into. Again, I'm not a involved in anything.
Right.
And I have a unique interest, professional, and I go where it sends me, and whoever. So I have certain individuals that concern me, but that doesn't mean there aren't other people involved in that. But I can also tell you that when you deal with this stuff on a daily basis or consider it professionally and its impact on people, the last thing I want to do when I watch TV is watch this. Like, I want to get away from this. This is far and away the most disturbing thing professionally that anyone could ever deal with. And it does change your view of famous people, and it does influence your entertainment choices, perhaps your political choices. But at the end of the day, their people are impacted by this. They continue to be impacted by it. And you have to recognize that with all this stuff that comes out in the news, and a lot of these people who get excited and, oh my God, this, that the people who were victimized by this, when it all becomes public on the internet and on Twitter and whatever, by people just keeping score and this and that can re-victimize people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, and that picture, that is the people that should have been protected the first time. And now they're facing it again without being considered. And that lack of consideration, or that lack of empathy or humanity, or how you present something, can be devastating for victims of sexual violence. And I just pray for them that they may, I don't know, have justice and peace at some point. I wonder, I fear that the power dynamics and the power shift may not allow it, but I hope that everything that was done in the dark does come to light for these victims as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, forever. So, is there any idea after these photos, this is released, what does Congress look like when they come back from from their break? Like, are they going to is it going to be performative? Is it going to be, what do you think?
Well, I mean, some of this is performative, which is unfortunate in the fact that there has been so much public obsession over, a list and this and that. And again, to those who work or are familiar with what's going on, it's not about a list, and it's not about Epstein. I mean, it's just, it's different than with the way the public perceives it. And, is Congress performative? I don't know. Why weren't other records released? Is something being held back? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's really, again, not my purview, but what I can tell you is it doesn't look good, right? It just doesn't look efficient. It doesn't look good. And
looks sloppy as shit. Yeah.
Any sane person would say, if there is evidence that powerful people committed crimes, whether they are former politicians, music stars, actors, whatever, or current politicians or current business people, whatever, and that there is a provable case of terrible, terrible crimes, then, and the statute of limitations is in play and there's sufficient evidence, then they should all go to prison for the rest of their lives. That's it. I mean, I don't think that's a controversial take.
And that's where it shouldn't. See, that's where I like, that kind of chaps my ass sometimes when we see that divide, because I just think personally, if you're a criminal and if you have committed heinous crimes. I don't care if you were on my like spectrum politically, if you were that just does not affect me. You can like somebody or dislike somebody. If they're a criminal, I want them to go and pay for crimes that they've committed. If I hate them, or not hate them, because try not to hate anybody, levies its energy that you should never expend. But you know, if you like dislike somebody,
these people are worth hating. They are.
The evil, because they're evil.
They're evil.
Okay. And okay. See now this okay. So when I hear that though, that triggers me to like I want and I know that I can't know anything else, but that enrages me. It enrages me for women and men. It's not just women, I'm sure. Like for all of us, for young people, for our children, for next generations. Like this is where the buck needs to stop and somebody needs to be accountable. And if you do not change, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And it should not be that people with a propensity to hurt or rape or abuse children, young adults, regular adults, get out of here, go away, send you to the guillotine and chop off your friggin' head because you're a sicko, you son of a gun. And like no one should be exposed to that. If you are evil and there is not a percentage of light in you that you have a redeemable quality, have you made a mistake? No, you specifically were involved in heinous fucking crimes. Go away. It needs to be exposed. It needs to come out. And this is where the dribs and drabs of the bullshit, that aggravates me. Because either shit or get off the pot. Sorry.
And there's a lot of them. Don't draw conclusions because, again, this has been so screwed up the way this has been handled publicly that because, files related to Epstein get released, that means everything or anything. There are many, many, many that I'm aware of, and probably God knows how more, men and women involved in these terrible, terrible crimes.
Fuck. That's yeah, that's gross. That's like accomplices, or they were doing their own bad things. Were they accomplishing?
Not just
okay.
Bad actors. I'd leave it at that. Let's move on.
All right, moving on. Rob Reiner.
Horrible.
Generally speaking, death of Rob Reiner and his wife Robin.
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating because I've had these cases. One is ongoing right now, and one finished up a year ago of actually a young man murdering. In one case, murdered his father in front of his mother, and he was found not guilty by reason of insanity and is getting treatment. And I have an ongoing case now where it's the same thing. A young man, came back from college, is at that age where mental illness, young
early 20s, yeah,
and ended up killing his father, his 5-year-old brother, and stepmother. And that case is ongoing. And so these cases are horrible, but they are similar to what you're seeing in California, but they're all very similar in how they get handled. I mean, this was so obviously going to be a psychiatric case immediately, and it'll play itself out. And again, I don't know whether Nick Reiner has a valid psychiatric defense that is a complete defense to the extent that he is not guilty by reason of insanity or mental disease or defect, which is the politically incorrect term we use in New York, or whether there is what lawyers used to call, it's not really the word they use anymore, but a diminished capacity, which potentially could minimize a murder to a manslaughter, and whether that's the play here. look, obviously something is off. And if you have a young man who has years and years of mental illness, and you add the substance abuse to that, and you add in the meds to the illegal drugs, you have a potential toxic brew of mental disease or defect. But, look, the issues that they're going to have to address right away, even before you worry about whether you have a defense, people are jumping the gun. The first issue is this guy competent? Like right now, not at the time of the offense, which is ultimately which will determine the punishment, but you can't even prosecute someone who is not competent. I mean, there are legal proceedings can literally wrench to a halt if the defendant is unfit, in the sense that he's not aware of what's happening. I don't understand the court proceedings because of whatever. I don't understand the role of the judge, the role of the lawyers, this. And also, if the defendant is deemed to be in such a state that he's not able to assist his lawyers help him, that is another reason to be deemed incompetent.
Yeah.
Which could stop everything. And he gets hospitalized until he is deemed fit again, at which point the case starts up. Then you're going to have multiple psychiatrists who are going to evaluate him. They're going to get every medical record and substance abuse record for this guy.
And he has a lot, unfortunately.
That exists. And then the defense experts presumably will conclude that he qualifies for a NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity verdict. That'll be presented to the prosecutor, who has a decision to make. Do we agree with this, or do we not agree? They'll hire their own experts. They'll have them evaluated, and then the prosecution expert will go back and say, we agree or don't agree. If they agree, the case will essentially end, and you're talking hospitalization and how dangerous is he and what track does he go on. If they disagree, then the trial turns into essentially a battle of experts. But this goes on for a long time. I mean, the case I'm dealing with now, and even the one I had that ended a year ago, you are talking about medical records that are in the thousands and thousands of pages. I mean, you have a client, again, in New York, who goes to Bellevue, which is, where mental health rests end up. And instead of going to Rikers Island, you sit in Bellevue for a year. How many doctors and medical, you're talking thousands and thousands.
Tens of thousands, yeah.
More. And, even the case we're dealing with now, it took months to get all the records from the jail in Rikers Island, right? All the Bellevue records, all the private hospital records, so this thing with Nick Reiner will go on for months and months. At some point, the defense will get an opinion on whether he's fit. I assume they're going to ask for a competency evaluation. I don't know if they have or they haven't. I assume that's why. That's why they would have delayed the arraignment. I think it's safe to say his lawyer knows what he's doing, right? Clearly. But these cases, believe it or not, as awful as they are, they tend to be pretty formulaic. All right. In terms from a lawyer's side, there is an obvious path and a checklist of what you do in a psychiatric case that makes it's not less stressful, but it's actually very formulaic to get to what you hope will convince the prosecutor to agree with you that he belongs in a hospital,
right,
rather than a prison. Now, they will agree or they won't agree, and the prosecution will draw its own conclusion. And we don't know. We just don't know how sick, in a legal sense, that Reiner was at the time of the incident. And that's what matters. It's at the time of the incident, not
correct.
You'd be surprised. On one of these cases that I was talking about, there was a post NGRI hearing recently where they, you get an update on whether somebody needs to remain at a certain threshold of hospitalization or kind of work their way back into the community. Because remember, they're not in prison, right? If it's NGRI, they're not.
Truth.
They're not being found guilty. So it becomes, are we letting this person out in the public? Like, here you go. And a lot of these people who suffer untreated mental illness a couple of years later are heavily treated. They're being evaluated. You would never know when you talk to them today that they could have been hearing voices and doing all kinds of things that make no sense to you and me a couple of years ago.
Okay, so now I get that, but I have a bigger, there's such a bigger problem here. And just like from a nursing perspective versus a law perspective, our country is absolutely frigged, like so ass backwards, Mr. Bederow. I cannot understand, you know, I think that back in the olden days, like think back to the 1950s, if you had somebody who like women with alcoholism sometimes were like sent to like McLean's, right? Or mental hospitals, not Framingham State, like Tewksbury State, etc. There were issues where infirmed placement of humans occurred when it was unnecessary, not just for mental, like actually housing or inpatient stays that were important for the safety of the patient and the community. In the 1980s, there was a huge push for the closing of inpatient mental hospitals and asylums around our country. This then put out patients that did not have family, that did not have anywhere to go. And there's like a systematic with the closing of hospitals in the 80s and 90s and the last into the early of the 2000s. You saw a meteoric rise in crime. You saw a meteoric rise in homelessness, and with in correlation to the closing of these hospitals. Now, because we did not have, or we were not equipped. Now, I'm not saying it was all a little bit barbaric. You could still do 4-point restraints on patients. You could chemically restrain patients. There was a lot left to be desired. I'm not saying it was great in any way, shape, or form, but to house somebody, have staffing to be there to support people, because when you are thrown into a society in which you have nobody, no resources, and I'm not saying that's Reiner's case clearly, but this is where I see a disconnect, and I see that like that was the beginning of just a shift, and that we're not taking the mental health of Americans that used to be like, oh, this, like, let's say if in the 1950s, someone is problematic, they are like behaviorally issued. Some parents would literally just put their kid in, they would send them away. Now you have people that do not have the ability. They've done everything in their purview. They've used all their insurance. They've put all of their, sent them to facilities to get the help that they need for a readjustment of maybe medications, etc. And then it's still not there, or you still don't reach that level of some people should be inpatient. That is my final stay. Some people should be residential inpatient psych, and not because of a NGRI, or not because of, oh, I just drowned my children in a tub, or, oh, I just killed my parent. Like, what are we doing? There should be more help for those who need and meet criteria.
Probably. I mean, I'm just a lawyer, and unfortunately I get involved when people are in the soup, not from a political, philosophical, social standard. But I mean, with Reiner, look, in these cases, what prosecutors often do in trying to debunk a psychiatric defense is they're always going to try to say, but he was thinking. He acted normal. Normal is not a medical term, obviously, but he ran away, which shows he's aware of the consequences of his actions. He changed clothes. That shows he knew what he was doing. And they're gonna
consciousness of guilt.
What makes this case, or will make it so fascinating, is because of the personalities involved, right down to the fact, and I'm going only on what you see in the news. There was apparently an episode at the Conan O'Brien Christmas party, which one can only imagine the guest list at the Conan O'Brien Christmas party in which, Nick Reiner allegedly had a break or got angry at Rob Reiner, whatever. And all of these people are going to have to be interviewed about, what you saw, what he said, what else do you know? I mean, this is going to take months and months to be unpacked. And then because it's such a high profile case, because the victims are so well known, I mean, you are talking, Hollywood royalty and his wife are the victims in the case. There is going to be so much pressure on the LADA, the district attorney in Los Angeles, to figure out, what if we agree that this is an NGRI? I mean, there's going to be a lot of criticism of them. Now, if they don't do that, there's also going to be a lot of criticism of them. But one thing I think you can safely assume, putting aside the political nature of the moratorium in California, because of all of these issues, there is no chance, virtually none. Although California is technically a death penalty eligible state, they're not going to seek the death penalty on someone who, even if they think he is legally guilty, clearly has issues which would have impacted his, mental fitness on some level.
Absolutely. And there is, like you're saying, though, I'm looking at it from like a social, like from like an ecosystem, and you clearly, I was just hoping that with these conversations, and that I see it, I think we see it more frequently, and especially with higher profile names that are associated, but maybe if we took care of United States citizens, right, that like, maybe you wouldn't have to need Mr. Bederows or Alan Jacksons or, just to treat people.
It's hard to force someone into like essentially incarceration civilly without being charged with crime. I mean, that's complicated. It's still America. And even when you get to someone like Nick Reiner, and I don't know much about him, but
I get a guardianship. I can do a lot, actually. I could take, if his parents could have done, if you needed to get us, you could even Section 35, because that's for substance use in Massachusetts. Like, there's just different ways. I don't know what the rules are or the laws are in California.
America you're in America. And when you just snatch somebody off the street, even for mental health reasons, who has not been committed or not been charged with a crime, you can do it. There is a legal mechanism to do it, but it's complicated. It's tricky. And in somebody, going back to the California case, obviously this kid was wealthy, or at least his family was wealthy. They tried to get him help. Did they enable him because he was a spoiled rich kid who said, I'm not doing this anymore? I don't know. I mean, the facts will all bear themselves out, but we'll have to see.
Would say, though, that there is like something to be said, and huge, even now, like, let's take it away from a guardianship. Let's take it away from removing people from the streets. Huge news, if accurate, reported by Harvey Levin at TMZ, stated that, that Nick had a schizoaffective diagnosis. And he had for a long time. Also, that there was recent med changes. And this is where my little ears just perk right the F up, because I said, oh no, was it actually, per the reports and inside information that TMZ has received, that it was approximately 4 weeks prior? You're right in your transition. You are at the highest risk for having suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation, having those negative adverse side effects from medication that is not specifically an allergic like, you're not having a reaction that is immediate. It's a couple weeks in.
Everything you're saying is accurate, but that's not the legal issue. Okay. And people need to understand, there are people who are legally guilty of intentional murder who you would say are batshit crazy, mentally ill. Okay. Mentally ill people, including diagnosed schizophrenics, everyone else, absolutely under the law can be guilty. Okay. The issue is going to come down to whether there is credible psychiatric evidence that at the time of the commission of the crime, the defendant was not aware of the nature and consequences of his actions or did not know right from wrong at the time of the crime, not 2 hours before, not 30 minutes later. And, you know, is it important and is it a red flag? The guy was diagnosed with this? Absolutely. Is it important that, you know, he might have been imbalanced from his meds? Yes. But if the evidence establishes at the time he committed the crime that he knew it's wrong to shoot someone, that's wrong, then guess what? He's legally speaking, he's guilty. If he didn't think he was pointing a banana at, or the knife was a banana, or, you know, Jesus wasn't telling him to do it because I'm morally obligated to do this, then you can still
I'm saving them. Yeah. Yeah.
If you literally don't know that it is wrong to do it, you can still be guilty. If you are aware that if I take this cutting instrument and slit my father's throat with it, that it's going to kill him, then you can be legally guilty, even if you are freaking nuts. Again, not a medical diagnosis.
Yeah.
So the psychiatric cases, and people need to understand this, are much deeper than the defendant is mentally ill, therefore it is NGRI. That is not at all how it works. And the law is set up in a way where it's hard to win in front of a jury a psychiatric case. Now, if there's a long history, you have good lawyers and good experts, it happens. Or in a perfect world, I mean, this happened in the other case, my concluded case. In that situation, a lot of credit goes to the Queen's DA's office. They agreed. Okay. They actually agreed with us after reviewing the reports that we had prepared from an expert who usually works for the prosecution. That's a good thing, by the way. You know, not a hired gun who, you know, what do I have to pay to say this kid is crazy, right?
Yeah.
They agreed. They did their evaluation, and their expert came back and said, yeah, like, he's not responsible criminally. And that takes a lot of courage for a prosecutor to do when someone is accused of, you know, butchering their father.
What were
and wife in the California case?
Right. Can I ask you, is it public knowledge that for the case that you're speaking of, that the prosecutor's office did agree and that they said, no, he's not guilty? What were, do you,
this is
able to,
this is not Norfolk County court proceedings are public. So it you know, if there is when somebody pleads to not guilty by reason of insanity, as opposed to a jury verdict, there is a very, very formal hearing under the New York criminal procedure law that is required with incredible findings that have to be placed on the record, because you don't just get charged with murdering a parent and then have everyone say, don't worry about it, you know, not guilty, even though in the physical act, somebody is guilty. So, you know, there is a lengthy record. Yeah. I mean, it's public in the sense that you have a right to know that. It's not a secret that that kind of situation is put in place. Also, you have to bear in mind, when somebody gets arrested, and it doesn't have to be the Reiner case, which at this point is like the biggest case in the country just because who it is, Rob Reiner. But even in New York, when somebody gets arrested for a terrible homicide of murdering a parent in front of another parent, and, you know, 10 police cars arrive and they have to break a door down and tase a defendant, and there's a whole scene, that's going to end up in the newspaper. Okay. So, like, the public is aware anytime there's, even in New York where there aren't as many as there used to be, but any kind of killing, it does get attention. These aren't secret proceedings. I mean, it happens, and it's public.
do you remember what was the, like, or kind of what it was that was able to get that prosecutor's office there in that case?
Yeah, the evidence. I mean, there was a very documented history of for a week or so before this terrible act occurred of seeking mental health treatment, saying things that would appear to you and me to be a little unstable about certain things, a lot of red flag. And again, a set of medical records to corroborate all this.
Okay.
An otherwise irrational act, hearing voices, body camera of an arrest scene, which has things that are, again, you might find odd in your normal course of life, people doing and saying things, and a credible examination by credible experts, evaluating records, evaluating the client. And then, of course, the prosecution has the right to look at everything and do their own evaluation. And that's an important thing. It wasn't that they just agreed with us because, trust me, bro, I say so. They did their own evaluation, which they will do in Reiner. And their experts said, you know what? I agree.
Yeah, I agree. So, no, and I think that for me, I appreciate you, Mr. Bederow, for breaking it down, because I always think to myself,
I don't want to cut you off. Can we take a coffee break for 2
coffee
minutes?
break,
All right,
coffee break, babes. We're doing a coffee break. Get your dance on. EDM time in the morning. Nurse Kim's house. Coffee break. Zay bars. Don't you love this? Isn't it a banger?
No, I hate it.
Okay, love you.
I'm being honest. No, that's not my.
Oh, don't you love it? No, I hate it.
I hate it.
Wow. Tell me how you really feel, Mr. Bederow. I can crack
always.
open a DC for you.
Always.
Woo. All right. So what I was saying before I was so rudely cut off.
I know the caffeine called. I'm sorry.
Listen, I want you caffeinated. I want you happy as a clam over here. So thank you very much for returning and not just shutting off your computer. So I just have a hard time, and I always appreciate you when you bring me back to law versus my medical versus law, right? Because although there is so much dovetailing and intertwining with the two, there is also clear delineations in both. And I am like humanity versus safety and law, right? So like that is where I struggle at times but then I understand because you break it down the way you do. So thank you for that.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. F right off, Cam. So I will watch that though. And I'm very interested in this. Like for whatever reason, this is like speaking to me because I look at this young man and like you have seen him. There were book, like his father Rob wrote a book about it, like the struggles that they had. Like you're just seeing very clearly. I think that some people, maybe after dealing in mental health as long as I have and patients and like being in their homes. And when you're in a patient's home, a mental health patient's home, that is the most, in my opinion, Like, you're not seeing somebody out. You're not seeing somebody at a doctor's office. You are invited into their house every day. You are managing their medications. And sometimes you are their only like person that they see. Maybe they don't leave the house. Maybe they're not attending their appointments the way that they should be. And I was like always their, like in some cases, their person, like of, I would see the differences. I know everything more than anybody else. And when you're really seeing how someone's living, like being invited into somebody's home is incredibly personal. So like you can see things for what they are. And I personally believe that there should be more visiting nurses for dual diagnoses patients and like, for mental health, substance use disorder, for us to just be able to be there, to be a support that should be offered, like no matter what insurance you have, or if you don't, like, I don't know. I just think if you want the help, we would be there. All of us would eagerly help, the ones that are called to mental health. Cause some people are like, absolutely not. I couldn't do peds. I couldn't do oncology, but there is something to be said about if you're willing to have that help, like, I feel like it should be available, and maybe that could prevent in the long run some tragedies.
I mean, obviously Reiner, that ship sailed. I mean, he's in the soup now, and all that can be said is, he has the best possible representation.
Yes.
And if there's anything to find that will support his defense, if the psychiatric defense, they're going to find it. They'll have it. They will present it in the most articulate, persuasive way. And again, in these kinds of cases, you're always hoping to convince the DA first, not, again, you want them to agree. And
yes.
If that doesn't work, then you're in a situation of convincing a jury, which can be harder. Certainly, again, the victims in this case are as sympathetic as it gets. I mean, everybody knows who Meathead is. Everybody. Everybody knows these movies that he made. I mean, he is, everybody also knows
Rob Reiner film.
Right. I mean, no, but his resume of movies as a director is incredible. Yeah. And also, for better or for worse, in the recent comments of the president, which I thought were disgraceful, by the way, about him after he died. Rob Reiner these days was most known as a very, very politically outspoken Hollywood personality, very outspoken liberal, which is fine. It's a free country. You're allowed to do that. That could factor into jury selection, although in Southern California and LA County, perhaps not as much as in Orange County, whatever. But maybe they'll look for a change of venue to avoid that. But in any event, he's well represented. But people should not assume because he's a diagnosed schizophrenic that, he's not guilty by reason of insanity. It does not work that way. The law is not set up to just let anybody with mental health problems get away with, I don't like using that term, but get away with killing people. That's not how the law works.
As it shouldn't. And that is imperative because we are a society of law and order, and there are consequences to actions or it would be anarchy. Right. And it doesn't matter if you have something that could preclude you. If you are aware and when you are committing the act, then you are responsible for said act. Absolutely. Thank you. Now I'll continue to follow that because I'm interested. I'm just interested because it just tickles my, it scratches a place in my brain, that I'm like, how are they going to do that? So, all right. With that being said, Ted Daniel post yesterday, right? He hits me. Well, he doesn't say Kimberly. He was thinking about it, but he didn't. He's like, Kimmy, guess what? The Proctor has been suspended from Post commission. Okay. It's on the website.
I mean, to me, okay. What the first thought that comes to mind, my Godfather analogies and references. Uh-huh. The famous scene from The Godfather where Sonny Corleone on the causeway gets just shot probably 200 times and he's dead. And then what does the guy do? He just walks over and kicks him in the head. Like that's what we're dealing with Proctor at this point. Yes. Okay. He's been decertified as if that really, of course he was going to be. I mean, the guy's career has been over for a long, long time. No one was ever going to hire this guy. Yes, there's a process you have to go through, but in terms of like, what does it really mean? To me, I just picture, his career was already dead, and this is just walking up to Sonny and kicking him in the head to say, in case you didn't know, Proctor's no good.
Okay, but like, also, F the post commission for taking that long. Do you know what I mean? Like, F them for that. I liked a little bit of the verbiage, though. I was feeling a little bit froggy, which I was like, what was in that? And also, I'm a nosy bitch. You know this about me. I want to know. Tell me all the things. And I feel like that second extraction of his cell phone, I need it. I need it like I need water. Okay. I want to camel that because it is like, I need to know, because them putting, so this is an individual whose certification has been suspended by the commission, is prohibited from performing police duties, must comply with the requirements and all rules and regulations promulgated by that commission, and prohibited from appointing or employing a person as a law enforcement officer if the person is not certified by the commission. So he can't even be Chip Proct mall cop, okay? He can't do a Segway. He can't ride anything. He's not even able to be security at a gated community in fucking Medfield.
Okay, I mean, but would you hire him to clean your toilet? I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
I mean, at least until you get some understanding for how he explains this, which of course he has no obligation to do, but he's subject to criticism because he did go on a press tour, as you know, trying to get ahead of this before, the other stuff came out. And at this point,
double down
again, right. And which just makes him even more dishonest, more misleading. His own lawyers abandoned him in the middle of his hearing. I mean, at this point, the only thing left to deal with Proctor is how he will impact these cases in which he's involved. But other than that, I mean, I don't think he's worth the words to even talk about. I mean, he's disgraced, he's embarrassing, he's jeopardized multiple criminal cases. We certainly know he destroyed the case against Karen, which probably never should have been brought in the first place.
Yup.
He presumably is going to have an impact in some of these other cases. He did not have any real impact in the Walshe case, which is not that surprising, by the way. But we have to wait and see.
Now, does this say anything to me, or is this just like a generic, right? Because I'm looking and I'm like, am I looking too deep into this? So it says the commission has concluded by a preponderance of evidence. What? You've already preponderated? You've already prepondered? You've already 51? Shut up. So that the suspension is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the public.
So let me ask you this. I don't want to ruin your vibe. What is so shocking and controversial about that? I mean, of course. I mean, again, this guy has no business doing anything even close to policing.
True.
Look at him. He is the poster child of bad law enforcement, probably in the country. Whether it be actual corruption, inappropriate comments, saying God knows what to his buddies in the Canton Police, possibly
Nine best friend for first grade. Yeah.
I mean, you could go on and on. I mean, I just don't see what's even newsworthy with, him getting suspended or decertified. I mean, my response to that is, of course. I mean, and even if he wasn't, there is no police agency that would hire him. I mean,
well, I get it. Like, I get what you're saying. But like, also it's Massachusetts. Do you understand? Like also, these are the same dickheads that actually kept him like they let him be certified forever. He still was represented by the Lollipop Guild, aka the friggin' Mass Police Association, for up until that extraction. They still were backing Blue.
Wait a minute. That's what unions do. Okay. Unions defend members. And if you want to
Until
talk
it's
about,
indefensible.
well, until they get violated and burn their whatever. But unions, particularly two that come to mind, teachers and police are the strongest unions. And there are, and certainly with police unions, there are only certain things that will make them walk away. And God only knows what was on the Proctor phone that made the police union walked away. I've been involved in a case where a detectives union walked away, where a detective was falsely accused of a very violent, what do you call? I'm not allowed to use the R word. Your YouTube, great,
Sexual assault.
whatever.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Great.
he was guilty of bribe receiving by doing something really stupid, but not that. But when that became public, that accusation, the union, they ran away. Like that, they can't handle. This is like in the very beginning of the Me Too era and all that. So the real question is, for the police union to walk away when they did, the inference is obvious. He lied to them, he misled them, he embarrassed them, and the stuff that's on there is really bad.
Yeah.
But short of that, they will defend their members, even if they commit crimes or do whatever. That's what they do.
Yeah. And there's, yeah, you're right. And I think the culture too, as well, like we've always said about Norfolk County and the embedded, I pray to God that there really is some sort of change for those embedded troops in the DA's office. Isn't that a fucking like immediately?
I'm sure you could pull up old clips of me saying that a year and a half or 2 years ago, whenever I started getting involved in all of this circus. They're having embedded detectives in the DA's office who are your, core 6 to 10 guys, your lunch buddies who donate, they kick up to the DA as loyal. I mean, it's essentially a loyalty pledge. You go out drinking, you do this, you work together. That is breeding ground for corruption. Not corruption in the sense of, slipping money under the table to do things, but corruption for impacting judgment, having bias, maybe letting things slide because it's your friend, not believing that they might have done something because I don't want to embarrass my friend, so it affects your judgment. But
Blinders.
And Karen's case is a perfect example of that. Probably, Birchmore to some extent. Some of these other cases, it's a terrible practice. Now, again, I don't know why they do it that way. Maybe I, should stay in my own lane. That's how they do it in Massachusetts. They don't have to do that in a place like New York because, the NYPD has 40,000 cops but there's always going to be detectives who will bring cases to prosecutors, but that's because they trust their work. They don't literally eat, breathe, and live together in the same office every day and send each other, no nudes yet and looking for this and let me donate money to this. And we're going to go to the bar tonight. It's a whole different, it's a recipe for bad judgment and corruption. And, you're seeing it play out. And I assume when there is a new DA, whoever that is, that they would think long and hard about how do we end that process.
Yeah, and there was a good question in the chart. Oh my God, I'm at work. No, there was in the chat, and it said, well, that's weird because why didn't they help Kelsey? And my opinion on that is it was a cop on cop, and they chose the other cop. Okay, that is the officer that discharged his weapon on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Remember that, lovies. There was 2 officers involved, and it was a he said, she said, and they went with he said. There was no body-worn camera. It is literally what he said happened versus what she said happened. And everybody, including but not limited to the other officers that were at the scene but not in the room, everybody took his side. I will also say that if the roles were reversed and there was only one police officer in that situation, right? And a member, a citizen just a random person in the public shot Kelsey Fitzsimmons, they would have been arrested, not the other way around. Period. Point blank. The end. My opinion.
From a union standpoint, there's potentially a conflict. Obviously, you have two members involved in something. I'm sure she still has a union delegate. There's all these other issues about who the union generally backs. But when she gets arrested, okay, for basically unlawful discharge or attempted murder, whatever, and you have a police officer who's mixed up in that, and the question becomes whether the on-duty officer used lawful force and whatnot and lawfully discharged his weapon. Of course, that's who the union is going to be more concerned about, okay? Because that's regular policing. I mean, bear in mind that whatever Fitzsimmons is a police officer in a literal sense, but she was not even acting in her capacity as police officer. Okay? No union is not backing an on-duty police officer responding to a scene where he discharges his weapon.
It's not responding to a scene, though. You're fucking delivering a goddamn. It's not.
No. He is on duty.
Yeah.
In the course of his active duty, responding to a job, not a glamorous one, and he ends up discharging
You're right.
and shooting someone. Okay. The union membership is going to defend that 100%. That was a lawful discharge, because to not do so would be very dangerous to the membership. You don't have our back. Those cops every day are in life and death situations. And, we get charged with, abuse of force, this, that, every day. If the union doesn't back the cop who discharged the weapon, then you don't have a union. You're going to have anarchy in that department and that membership. That's a no-brainer.
That is okay. You're right. I pardon my raising of my voice.
No, it's. I mean, look.
I felt passion.
Passion,
more energy.
The point is this: it's not the most glamorous police job. I'm responding to serve a protective order, but let's talk about things for a minute. What are the most dangerous? I'm not attacking Kelsey Fitzsimmons at all. I'm talking about police in general, who I generally support. Generally, what are the most dangerous things to police? Two things jump out: car stops, random car stops, domestic incident responses. That's where police get shot, sometimes worse. Okay.
Yeah.
This was one of those situations. That's not an attack on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. The reality is those domestic response situations can get dangerous. And in this case, for whatever reason, it did. I mean, somebody got shot, not the responding cop, but somebody got shot. And the union is going to back the membership responding to dangerous situations and discharging a weapon 100 out of 100 times, unless it is so obviously to them a bad shoot, like in essence, where they want to believe that the responding cop just tried to murder the one they're responding to, and they're never going to believe that.
Right. Yeah, you're right. As usual. Okay, as usual. And that's why you're our emotional support attorney, because you talk us off the ledge and keep us focused and allow us to understand things on a level that makes sense, and we're able to move forward through it. Now, I won't probably see you for the rest of this week. Do you have anything else that you would like that we want to talk about, or are we done?
It's up to you. I'm here. If you have topics, I'm fine. I'm fully caffeinated. I had a whole pot, so I'm amped up, or, whatever you want to do. Up to you.
You're amped.
I don't write.
Well,
whatever, I just go where they send me, as I always say. So it's up to you.
Well, listen, who do I think I am? I am always thankful for, we've got let's keep it at 2. So we got 12 more minutes. So anybody, Walsh, please, can we talk? Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to put this up and you tell me to fuck off, or I can ask you something. Can I? Or no?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Shut up. All right. I'm asking. Guys, shut up. Okay. All right. Okay. Put it away. So, Mr. Bederow, there was a post. Well, there's been something that's been made public, okay? And it has been put on the World Wide Web and shared to the billion of times. That was a footnote that was including information about Jennifer McCabe and Google searches and one Kerry Roberts in an egregious, despicable text message that was sent less than 72 hours after Officer John O'Keefe had lost his life on January 29, 2022, that Sandra Bullock would play her in the movie. Is that somebody who, that to me, I'm going to say what my feeling is, that felt so ick. It felt so disgusting. It felt so disconnected from an actual tragedy that you claimed that you've been, like, you went to prom with and you've known this guy since you were in high school. And now you think that, like, and listen, humor comes in all different sizes, and like, you can make a lot of jokes. You're not a fucking comedian, okay? I don't find the funny in it. You people aren't that funny actually at all. Go dance to Raining Men, you slut. But there is one thing that I can't get over. It's the lack of compassion and the projection of what you said you were feeling at the time versus what you were writing in communication to Jen McCabe.
So it's a lot to unpack.
Sorry.
Let's start with this. I saw what was put online by a third party.
By an unrelated source, yes.
To be clear, so what's public is public. And
Okay.
for others to decide why and how that happened and the wisdom of that and how you feel about that. The information was included in a legal filing and redacted and was not intended to be made public. It's my understanding that a different third party had discussed this online after being told by a former associate, now enemy, about it. And then the other third party just put the whole unredacted material on the internet. So I'm not going to specifically address what was put online, literally, but I do know from a clip being shared with me that this was publicly discussed by Kerry Roberts last evening, is my understanding, about a reference to her and, actresses and things of that. So what I'll say about it is this. At Karen's trial, the representation was clearly made that there was great distress, understandably so, about what happened to a close friend, and that all of the text messages between the two individuals that we're talking about were related to great distress about what had happened. Now, juxtapose that, if you recall, with the Inner Sanctum family text messages, which were about, tell them the guy didn't go in the house, they're looking again, they're here, they're doing this. Not talking about the great distress. Now, here's an interesting question that I think people are burying the lead about this. You can talk all you want. The public can draw their own conclusion in a hypothetical sense why people who are grieving about this awful thing are talking about movies and who's going to play them. And again, as Kerry Roberts referred to last night, and I think she said we use humor to disarm ourselves. That's for the public to decide. The real interesting question is this. Were those text messages disclosed to Karen Reed before her trial, as they should have been? Because there was no cross-examination of either Kerry Roberts or Jen McCabe about this.
No.
And do you think that those lawyers would not have cross-examined about what you're referring to and what Kerry Roberts referred to last evening. So the real question for people is if text message communications and cell phone extractions were done, right?
Yeah.
McCabe's phone was extracted. Roberts' phone was extracted. If there are references to what Kerry Roberts was talking about last night,
Admitting it.
do you really think, given the examination at trial about the messages between McCabe and Roberts being all how upset they were, again juxtaposed versus the family chat, that there would have been no cross-examination about allegedly, again, I'm going on what Kerry Roberts said publicly last night, about making jokes about Sandra Bullock in the movie?
Yeah, there's no way AJ wouldn't have. No way.
Do not think that there would have been cross-examination about what's the movie about, by the way. I mean, this is a tragedy involving, a friend being, we know she did it. I mean, according to Kerry Roberts and Jen McCabe, Karen Reed admitted she did it that night, right? That's what they said. I hit him, I did it.
Yeah.
They told the cops she did it. So it was an open and shut case. So why would they be referring to themselves, as was made public about being detective and being detect what? It was open and shut. Or might this have been an interesting topic of cross-examination in the context of tell them the guy never went in the house? They're searching the Asian house again. Do you really think lawyers of this magnitude would have left this on the table in front of a jury about joking again? And if the explanation is we use humor to disarm tragedy, that's an argument for the witness. Absolutely. You can say that. But do you think these lawyers would not have done? So the question becomes this. Karen has a civil rights lawsuit going against all these people. The state police extracted the phone. If you accept the fact that Lally and Brennan and whoever else in the DA's office acted in good faith, then the real question becomes, and why didn't these messages make it to Karen's legal team? Or did they? I would assume not, based on the lack of cross-examination. And did the state police do something? I don't know. Why didn't that make it over? And might that be interesting in the ongoing civil litigation about why critical evidence, which could have been used to impeach the credibility of these two critical witnesses, could have been used. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It was also pointed out to me last night that part of the explanation was, well, I was in a state of, crazy. I couldn't focus on anything.
Yes.
Well, you gave 2 or 3 statements to the police right away. Were you under that condition or ailment at the time you spoke to them? Is that why you were inconsistent with them? I guess the point becomes this. I'm not sure why she was speaking last night. She has every right to do it. I didn't watch it. I just, was alerted to these few clips of it. But I don't know why they would even explain this stuff. Frankly, I don't know why this was put on the internet, okay? I think it's relevant to a lot of things, but it was presented to the court in a redacted fashion for however reason it made its way, and a third party just decided to blast it online, I'm assuming to try to do damage to another person, which I don't understand. We're not going to get into any of that. It's not my reason for talking about this, but I think everyone is missing the point on this, which is, was this or was this not disclosed to Karen's defense before trial? And if not, why?
And how? How was it not? So not just why, because why? How was it not? Whom? Let's do it. Let us be detectives, okay?
These
Of
are questions
who,
that
what, where, when, why, and how was this not provided to Karen Reed's defense team?
again, I'm assuming that's the case. I mean, only they can answer. But then ask yourself: is there a pattern of other allegations of incomplete extractions and materials missing, also involving the state police, the same state police from Karen's case, and how that impacts a lot of things, whether it be current criminal cases and current civil cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I just find it, I find it brazen. I find the, and like, listen, have I not said in my life, like, listen, if you look at me the wrong way or chew in public, like, or I hear you like chewing very loudly, I'm one chew away from ending up on an episode of Snapped, right? But that's just like, I'm joking. But like, there is like, when you're saying that about what would the movie be if somebody, like, if you were like, hey, she's going to end up on ID, or like, I'm going to be on whatever, that's like totally or Dateline.
This is my personal opinion, okay? If you were dealing with a case like Karen's case, and you're dealing with witnesses saying what Kerry Roberts was saying what Jen McCabe was saying about their concerns, their text messages, all the other stuff, what they told the police, everything going on, and you had access to this kind of material, I'm cross-examining for 30 minutes about this. Okay. And again, now the witness answer may very well be, we're just kidding. And that's their answer. I mean, I guess that's what she said last night. That's their answer. They're allowed to give that answer. But I don't think there is a lawyer who would not put that in front of the jury to say, if you're talking about how upset you are that, again, as acknowledged by the witness last night, that within a few days, we're just joking about movies. That's something you're going to want to get in front of a jury that runs the risk of making a jury raise a lot of eyebrows and look at you and say, this puts into context everything you're telling me. Especially when you factor into why would this be publicly noteworthy on a media level beyond what it is? Why would you refer to yourself, in that manner? Does this factor in about, is that one reason why you might say something inaccurate to the grand jury? Is that another reason why the other witness would lie to the FBI? My understanding also, it was sent to me last night that the witness said, I didn't hear the Google search and I didn't know about it, but
I knew it happened.
But Jen told me it happened, so therefore it happened.
I
don't know what they're doing as to why they think this is helpful, and if it was worth the 400 views that they probably got to raise a few dollars, which is their right to do. But if there's a cost benefit analysis, that would be much more damaging to them than it was helpful. That's just my opinion.
Well, and here's the thing is, you're not just talking shit to a couple of girlfriends online, like you and the housewife from Indiana and whatever. And I'm glad, listen, everybody has a right to have your platforms just like I do. Right. So they don't have to attack. But when you are putting somebody on a platform that is wildly contradicting what she actually said, because trial 1, she was never cross-examined. Trial 2, she is. And you know what, Kerry, babe, she was so defensive in that second trial. Because I really had so much empathy for her, because she did know John. She did know Officer John O'Keefe, his whole entire family. They grew up, it's a Braintree. It's she was an old school. She was a girl from back in the day, and still had a wonderful relationship, took care of the kids, helped him, all the things. I had such actual compassion and empathy for her. Trial 1. Trial 2, I say, who's this? Because you are, when asked, and pressed in the areas in which she was. In my opinion, she did herself, Jen McCabe, and frankly, being included in making the timeline when you weren't there. You weren't out the night before, Ka. So why are you involved at all, babe? Like, this is what happens when, like, you maybe insert yourself in places that you maybe should have just taken a back seat, in my opinion.
I don't know why anyone would draw attention to this and discuss it. And they have put the district attorney, the state police in a very bad spot if they did not disclose those evidence to Karen, those messages, if they disclosed other communications around those communications, but not ones which would have been used to impeach their credibility, then somebody got some splaining to do in the DA's office and or the state police. If they turned it over, then there's nothing to worry about, right? It is what it is.
There's no chance in hell, Mr. Bederow. I didn't even think that. You are so right. I know Alan Jackson. No, I don't. But emotionally, I've met him a couple of times. I know that man. For him to be able to look and see that with his own eyeballs, no, impossible. Karen to see that with her own eyeballs. And that wouldn't have been brought up when other pertinent text messages were. Stop it.
I don't believe. Well, first of all, like Alan's as good as it gets, obviously, and criminal lawyers recognize that.
Yep.
But I don't think any criminal lawyer of any skill set in trying that case, if presented with that sort of evidence, given what the witnesses were testifying to, would not put in front of the jury the information that was released publicly by a third party, what Kerry Roberts discussed last night. I don't think any lawyer would not have put that in front of the jury.
I 100% agree. And I mean, there's more there. There's there, and that is wild. How did I also not think of that? Like, how did I not say, like, wait a minute, why did we not hear that? Clearly, you weirdo. So, okay, that's wild. What could an implication be? What would happen? Let's say, for example, okay, worst case scenario, it was not provided.
Well,
it's not provided. What happens?
Well, there are lawsuits going on right now for violating civil rights.
Yes. Okay, there it is. It goes civil. Okay.
People are talking about, Rule 14. You're starting again, you're burying the lead. We're not talking about Rule 14. We're talking about the due process clause of the United States Constitution and Giglio versus United States. 405 U.S. 150, 1972. Every criminal lawyer who deals with this knows what Giglio material is. It is Brady material that is related to impeachment and credibility of witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody would say that the type of evidence that was revealed publicly and was discussed last night would not relate to the witness's credibility. Now, the witnesses could, again, they could defend themselves and try to explain it. And a jury could say, I don't find this to be a big deal. But that's the whole point. The fact finder is entitled to it if the lawyer wants to put the information in front of the jury. And I am struggling to understand how any lawyer, in my view, would not put out the fact that within 72 hours or 3 days of what happened to their friend, in light of the testimony about the communications between, on the one hand, Kerry Roberts and Jen, and on the other, the family text chain, these communications with Kerry Roberts are more symptomatic of the other, concerning or not so concerning about what happened communications. And it's not a good look. And again, let them explain it. But most lawyers are going to make them explain it and run the risk of looking really bad in front of the jury. And it really calls into question. And again, if the answer then devolves into, we're using humor, I was confused, well, then it calls into question your ability to perceive what you claim you saw and heard that night because you said your brain was mush. And maybe that makes less reliable now your claim, I heard Karen say this. You can't look at this in a vacuum. It all goes together. And in the hands of skilled attorneys like Karen had, the best you can get, they almost certainly would have used this to great effect.
110%.
And if they got this evidence, then this conversation becomes whatever. If they didn't get this evidence, then the question becomes why. And again, if this was suppressed Brady/Giglio material, that is of a constitutional nature. That is a civil right violation. That goes hand in hand
1982?
with everything else. And let's remember, who are the defendants in the, or amongst the defendants in their civil litigation? Tully, Proctor, Buchanan. What do they know about these messages if they weren't disclosed? I don't know. But you can be sure if these were not disclosed pre-trial, as they were obligated to be, that this would be the kind of thing that they will make hay with in the civil case, and certainly would have used to great effect, I believe, in the criminal case. Not that it matters now because she was acquitted.
Wow. And it will continue, and the beat goes on. And now, but choices were made. Decisions have been, kind of in the books for years now. It's years and years. This is exactly what happened in the aftermath. It's nothing to be made up. It is, and there has been like an admission to, literally on video last night, of like, well, yeah, I was just saying it because of A, B, and C.
Those are exhibits in a deposition for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What a wild world.
That all of that will certainly be used when they get deposed. And they'll ask all kinds. Look, depositions, the questions, there's no judge talking about, the deposition questions are going to be, why was that other woman sitting next to you, like an inch away from you all night? Why were you looking off camera? Was somebody standing there? Who knows, right? I mean, some of the clips that were sent to me, they're kind of looking at someone. I don't know. Depositions, the questions just, they fly. And you kind of have to answer them.
Right. Yeah. No, so I think that it makes sense that we go from here and see. I'm very interested to see what comes out. If anything, what, if anything, comes out in relation to it?
Well, again, I mean, it's out there.
Yes.
Two third parties, one, sharing what they were told, put some degree of it out there, and then the document was released for reasons which, I'll never understand, but whatever.
All right. Well, on that note, Mr. Bederow, thank you, because God darn, putting those pieces together, I was like, that's so friggin' weird, but I never, ever thought, like, why wouldn't AJ? Because he absolutely would have. That's non-negotiable in my brain. Had he ever saw that on a piece of, in an extraction, it's just unbelievable. And that he would not put that in front of a jury. And then, like you said, they would just have, or Kerry would have the opportunity to say whatever she felt was appropriate back. But wow, having that in front of a jury makes a difference.
The way trials are supposed to work is evidence that is obligated to be disclosed is disclosed. The other side determines, assuming it's admissible, how they want to use it and examines the witnesses about it. And then the other side, meaning the prosecution, has a right and redirect to address it and have these witnesses explain it. And then the jury decides, as the fact finder, who we believe, who we find credible, who we don't find credible. And if they don't find that credible, they may not find anything they said credible. But the point is, you have to do it that way.
Right.
Whether it be the DA, the state police, they don't have the right to suppress it and just leave it out. And if that's what happened, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's big doings on that end. All right, Mr. Bederow, it is almost time for Christmas. And for Christmas for you means Stranger Things with your daughter. Also means Stranger Things for me. And Seven Fishes and all the good things. And
Stranger Things for a lot of people, and I don't mean
I wish you a magical week.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait, you're not going to the movie theater?
No, I'm, you know what? She hasn't asked yet. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. The New Year's Eve one, I guess, the finale. Yeah, I have no interest in that.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that doesn't come up because that's a hard no for me. Unless she asked, then it's like, oh shit. No.
All right, but now then you're going. You're such a fibber. You would so go if she's like, Daddy. You'll be like,
Be sold out by now. No, I'd rather be by the fireplace, watching on the home big screen. No. Let's not even. She's not watching this, so
I'm not putting it in. I'm not putting it in the ether. All right.
No.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I will be in touch. We will be in touch. And I will see you on the flip. I'll see you on another Sunday service. And in real life, IRL, little Jersey time, hopefully next week. Bye.
Okay. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. All right, lovies. He's everything. Sorry. Oh, shit. Happy last day of Hanukkah. Mazel. Ugh. So rude. Sorry, Mr. Bederow. Happy 8th crazy night. So fun. And then Patriots. Love it. Okay, I am going to do this. And I just wanted to play because Toy Guys had made the Nurse Kim Creed Toy 7-4. Okay, from Roundhouse Media. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to subscribe. Okay. Also, new song, Who Dis? Oh, wait, where am I? Okay. For moi, little au moi, stop it. Is it a banger? Of course it is. Was it 2 weeks ago and I'm a dumbass and just saw it yesterday? Absolutely. Okay. Good. Bye. And I'm going to add. Who is she? Oh, I'm not going to add it, am I? It's too much. It's too much for her. She is an elderly grandmother. She found her way to a computer one day. And she said, desktop, show me the way. Oh, we're going to make that a little bigger. Oh, look at her. Oh. Oh, let's talk some shit. Okay, I'm going to present. Sorry, guys. This is absolutely absurd. Okay, are we ready? On your mark, get set. Play it. Thank you, Toy from Roundhouse Media. And everyone, have the best Sunday. I hope this Sunday service worked for our advantage, for our vibes, for the feels. And we are 4 days from Christmas morning. I bid you all adieu. Love your faces. Talk to you soon.
Lovey. Today we are gathered here with some cold, hard facts. So let's talk some shit. Wakey, wakey. Fear not, my lovies. The nurse is in the house. I'm handling it. Let's fucking go. Clutch those pearls, lovey, clutch them tight. Not today, Satan, not on my watch tonight. Oh, show me it. Nurse Kim in this bitch, and I'm handling it. Get on your knees, this might sting a little. Take you down to Unimpound Town right now, if not sooner, chill. I don't need luck, I'm blessed and trained. You question me. Who's the fool now? Ooh, fuckery foot, scammers on the loose. Lose my number, motherfuckers, I'm cutting y'all loose. Why in the Christ would you not preserve evidence properly? What is happening right now? Tiny baby Jesus and Mary. Hey, babe. Oh shit, somebody needs a lifeline. Oh hell, we need a welfare check. Right fucking now. Ow, the clutch I clutch lovies when the x-rays entered the chat. All is interwoven in perpetuity. That's a fact. Fear not my lovies. The nurse is in the house. I'm handling it. Let's fucking go. Clutch those pearls, lovies. Clutch them tight. Not today, Satan. Not on my watch tonight. Stop it. Show me it. Show me it. Nurse Kim in this bitch and I'm handling it. I've been known to get a little feisty on the Twitter sometimes. Cluck, motherfuckers, y'all just wasting my time. Oh, what's this? I found something in my pocket. You can't tell me shit. I'm the hostess with the mostest. Period, clutch, clinch, kegel, hold, release. I'm trying to be what I'm supposed to be. Right now it's me, it's you. We just here to talk shit and have fun, you see. There's a little feather to put in your cap. I'm clutching my pearl. Stop it. Show me it. Ooh. Fear not, lovies. We'll take care of it. Fear not, lovies, we'll take care of it. Fear not, my lovies. The nurse is in the house, I'm handling it. Let's fucking go. Clutch those pearls, lovies. Clutch them tight. Not today, Satan, not today. Show me it. Nurse Kim in this bitch, and we're running this shit forever. Right now it's me, it's you. We just here to talk shit and have some fun. Now clutch, clench, kegel, hold, release. Blues Clues, motherfuckers.
All right, great job on the news.
Thank you.
We will, Courtney and I will share what happened when we went to dinner last night, Sunday dinner, coming up. And as